Good morning and happy Vlogmas day 21. That's like 3 weeks. I know I haven't vlogged every single day of Vlogmas, but that's a 3-week span of almost daily vlogging. Daily uploads definitely, because even the days that I didn't vlog, I did upload shorts. First of all, Christmas is in 4 days, which is kind of insane. Anyways, it's time to make the puppies food. He's staring at me like a hungry hound. I know you're probably like, will this lady stop talking and make my food already? So I work off of an iMac, a very old iMac. This iMac is from 2012. A 2012 iMac is a computer that I edit on, and the other computer that I have, the one that I was using mainly before this one, was an old MacBook. It's like a MacBook Air, but when this came out, it was just called the MacBook. It's 2015, so that's also an old computer. I was never an iMac person, never wanted an iMac because I've always been a laptop person. I've always been a gadget girl. I've always loved electronics, laptops, phones, cameras, camcorders. MP3 players used to be my thing. I used to love staying up to date and getting the latest like MP3. I used to have a PSP, gaming consoles. We used to have, you know, of course, the Super Nintendo. We had a PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2. After PlayStation 2 is when I fell off with PlayStations though, and with like gaming in general, because the main game that I play is The Sims. If you didn't know, which you probably don't, I'm a Sims player. I'm a Sims fanatic. I don't play as regularly as I wish I did. Like, I have so much other things that I like need to tend to, especially when it comes to being on the computer. But I did make a commitment maybe like 2 or 3 months ago that once a week I was gonna just play The Sims. But I think I'm gonna go back to that because I miss playing The Sims, and that's just like my, not stress reliever, but my escape. I do use The Sims basically as an escape. Also, as you can see, I haven't done my hair. I know in one of my previous vlogs I was talking about possibly sewing down the wig, but I give it pause because it's a long story. I actually pulled some of my hair out. What year was that? Was that last year or the year before? Yeah, that was last year. I went to Mexico with my sister Victoria, and I wore this U-part wig that I had worn a bunch of times before, so the wig itself wasn't the issue. It was my application of it. So for the trip, I saw the technique. There's a very popular technique of putting a U-part on your hair and then crocheting the leave-out area to basically lay over the wig itself so that it hides the U, the open part, so you don't have to leave your hair out. So I was like, that sounds like an amazing idea, because I wore that U-part on vacation before, and the leave out, it's just a lot of upkeep, you know, getting it wet, going in the pool, things like that. So I was like, okay, for this Mexico trip, I wanted to have as little leave out as possible. And then when I saw that method, I was like, oh, I could have like 0 leave out, perfect. So I did it. I liked how it looked fine to me. I'm not like a huge stickler of how my hair looks. It does need to look good, but it doesn't need to look perfect. And so for that trip, I did that crochet method. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just look on YouTube and type in U-part crochet method, something like that, you'll see it. And so I did that for the trip, but during that trip I did go in the water. Like, I put my head underwater and everything. That was my first time going on vacation and doing that with that hairstyle, and particularly with it crocheted. And so because it was crocheted, I didn't bring the crochet needle with me on vacation, so I couldn't like redo it if I needed to. I couldn't take the wig off and put it back on and redo the crochet if I needed to. And so I left it on, which was no issue in and of itself. The issue came when I did go to the pool and I dunked my head underwater. And so because the hair was now wet, the wig weighed like 4 or 5 times as much as it did before. You know, you could wring the water out and it's back to being light, but in the moment you're not wringing the hair every time you come up out of the water. And so I didn't realize it, but it was pulling. The weight of the water was pulling on my hair, and the little parts that I crocheted, that was also pulling, and I didn't realize it. At the moment I did feel it, but it wasn't a strong pain. It was like one of those things where you feel it tugging and you kind of like just try to maneuver the hair a little, maneuver the wig. Little did I know it was pulling and like having constant weight on it that was just too much for hair, for my hair, for the front of my hair. Like each, like different aspects of it just caused for a big disaster. And so I didn't think anything of it. I went home, everything was fine, took the wig off, washed my hair and everything. Went months and months wearing different hairstyles. I never did the crochet with the U part again because I just didn't need to, but I did continue to wear that wig. I wore it like a regular U part, took it off at night, everything. And I moved on to other hairstyles. I wore my hair out, everything. And it wasn't until we went on that trip in early September, like Labor Day, and it wasn't until the following February I washed my hair and had my sister blow dry and flat iron it, and I happened to be like looking in the mirror close up right after, like minutes after she flat ironed my hair. I was looking in the mirror, and for some reason I was like parting my hair to, I think, just look at my scalp. I don't know, I just do weird things like that sometimes, and I noticed a bald spot. I freaked out. I was like I had no words in the moment. I didn't really know what to say, what to think. I've never had a bald spot, never really had like hair issues aside from, you know, breakage. Nothing like a bald spot though. So I called my sister. I was like, do you see this? I showed her. She said, yeah, I see it. And I was like, what could that be from? Now, the first thing that I thought of was, I remember seeing a video or reading somewhere that one of the side effects of the virus that we've been battling for the past 3 years is it can cause like this really specific circular bald spot in your scalp. They say like it could happen in the middle of the head. I believe it could happen towards the front of the head too. So that was my first thought. I was like, I know that I've had it in the past, not anytime recent around that, but in the past, like a year before that. So I was like, could it be from that? Or could it be like an after effect of it? And so that was my first thought. And then as I was inspecting, I'm like, okay, why is it here? It's not like in the middle, it's just a little bit off. And I was like, it did feel like, not sore, but like I remember having a sore feeling in that area. I would say the bald spot was like the size of, smaller than a dime. So it wasn't huge at all. It was very small, but it's big to me because it's my head and I'm not missing hair anywhere else. And so I was like, what could that have been from? And then it just clicked instantly. Like 10 minutes later, I was like, I know what it was from. It was from wearing that wig and the weight of that wig. And maybe at that time, it didn't like yank the hair out, but it probably killed off the follicle. So I was like freaking out. I was regretting it. I will say, because it was what, September, October, November, December, January, February, because it was 5 months after the event had happened, I think it didn't sting me as much because it was like I went 5 months without knowing that I had a bald spot and I lived. It was fine. It wasn't extremely noticeable. So it wasn't like that huge of a deal to me, but I was very upset. And now, you know, I know some of the feelings that people who get bald spot, like I could only imagine it on a more grand scale or more visible scale. Luckily, it was a little bit behind my hairline. All I could do at that moment was just like hope and pray that it'll grow back. That's all I could do. And so I think I applied like some oil on it and gave it a little massage in the moment. And I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna let this overly consume me. And I kept an eye on it. I didn't check it all the time. Mainly like when I would straighten my hair is when I would check on it. And sure enough, a few months later, like earlier this year, is when I saw like little short, I'm talking like not even half a centimeter, but a little spike of hair growing in that bald spot. I didn't look much into it, you know, like knowing what to do to get it back and all that, but I think that's technically traction alopecia, and that is a risk that comes with wearing wigs, wearing weaves, just manipulating your hair more than like brushing and combing it. So I think because it was my own fault, like I have no one else to blame but myself, so it's okay. I'll move past it. It is just hair, so I'm not like fixating or freaking out on it too much. Just if it goes back, that'll be great. If it doesn't, it's a lesson learned. And yeah. Going to Olive Garden for grandma's birthday. I haven't been to Olive Garden in years, but I did have Olive Garden food earlier this year in my Orlando vlog. It was delicious, so I'm excited for that. Never heard of this quaint little restaurant. Okay, so we're at Olive Garden. This is a drink that I got. So this is a strawberry limoncello margarita. It's basically an Italian margarita.
She just lean into the side a little. A strawberry that's not whipped cream, right?
GMO.
It should be.
I got eggplant parm. It looks really good. And I got Alfredo, fettuccine Alfredo instead of spaghetti.
Hey, what's up? It's your girl Corey.
So we're leaving Olive Garden now. There it is right there. The food was like, yeah, it was fine, but it wasn't great. I had Olive Garden earlier this year, but we had it catered and it wasn't bad. It was actually really good, so I was looking forward to it today. But I would give today like a 7 out of 10. It wasn't bad, but it could have been better. But I will come back. The drinks were really cheap though and were really good. Like $7 for a margarita. Sign me up. Doesn't it feel